Biology is a climate technology, or maybe biology is 1,000 different climate technologies. Many of the biological applications that can help us meet our climate goals are powered by synthetic biology, the underlying toolset for reading and writing DNA. So today, we're looking at DNA for some unifying perspective on the many things biology can do for climate. Let me set the stage. You work in policy. You work in climate. You're staring down these very ambitious targets from the Paris Agreement. The stakes are high, the complexity is enormous, but you get to work. You're looking for the if we're going to reduce carbon emissions by 43% by 2030. And as you do, biology keeps coming up. The living world is what we're fighting for. The negative impacts of climate change are biological in nature. Biodiversity, food security, human health. Biology is also, potentially, our greatest ally because biology loves carbon. Biology is carbon. It drives the carbon cycle, capturing, storing, releasing carbon at the gigaton. Climate crisis, that's clear. But things get less clear when we start to explore specific uses of biotechnology. There are so many different ways that biology interacts with climate and with human economic activity, the possibilities are overwhelming. Biology can do too much. It's kind of like how they used to teach intro-level bio classes. If you're a certain age, you were probably taught about the living world as a huge collection of loosely related facts. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. 1,000 species of beetles. In policy terms, this suggests the perspective that every biotechnology is a special flower with unique challenges, opportunities, markets, risks, regulations, etc. You need to be a narrow specialist to get the details right. And there's some truth to this. Diversity is a fact of biology. But life on Earth also has this beautiful underlying unity, thanks to DNA. The mitochondria, the dinosaurs, and the 400,000 beetles all have genomes written in DNA. And similarly, DNA is a common thread across almost all biotechnologies. The tools that we use for reading, writing, and editing DNA are collectively called synthetic biology. The better we get at DNA, the more we can push forward a diverse set of biotechnologies to match the diverse set of climate problems. This figure is adapted from Our World in Data. It shows the major sources of carbon emissions in the world as of 2016. This slice of the pie is energy. It includes some familiar sources of CO2, like when we burn fossil fuels to power cars or to generate electricity. Over here are the sectors sometimes called hard to abate, because carbon is more integral to what they make and do. They're not just burning it as a power source, so renewable forms of energy like wind and solar won't help much to reach our targets here. Biology can play all over this pie, including some of the hardest sectors. Let's take a look at some examples. Here's petrochemicals. Today, about 20% of every barrel of crude oil goes to make non-fuel products: polymers, plastics, dyes, resins, fragrances, pharmaceuticals. Industrial chemistry has an incredible talent for taking chains of carbon and reshaping them into useful molecules. But it turns out biology is good at this too. Microbes use enzymes to cut, paste, decorate, and reshape carbon chains into all the molecules of life. In some cases, biology can produce exactly the industrial chemicals we already use. In other cases, biology might make something similar of comparable performance. And microbes can do it with low-cost, sustainable feedstocks, things like organic waste or byproducts from other industrial processes. As a result, microbial fermentation can make a lot of this stuff with 50 to 90% lower emissions. Over in the food system, the biggest source of greenhouse gases comes from the production of animal protein. According to a recent report from Boston Consulting Group, if we can win an 11% market share for alternative protein, that would be roughly equivalent to decarbonizing 95% of aviation. Microbes can produce alternative proteins directly through large-scale fermentation, or they can produce flavors and functional ingredients that make plant-based proteins more delicious. We know that biology can produce the protein that we eat because it already does. Speaking of food, the fertilizer that helps to grow our food is a major source of carbon emission across the energy, agriculture, and chemical sectors. Nitrogen-based fertilizers are responsible for about 2% of total global emissions. But microbes that live in the soil can also produce fertilizer. In fact, they're already doing it. Nitrogen-fixing bacteria like Azotobacter transform atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia, nitrate, and other forms that plants can use. We can enhance this natural ability to replace chemical fertilizers with bio-based alternatives that live right there in the soil. Growing food more efficiently also reduces land use and deforestation, two more significant drivers of emissions. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. I'm trying hard to resist the temptation to make this video an endless list of climate projects for biology. And I think that's enough examples to give a sense for the big picture. Chemicals, foods, fertilizer. Each of these products are completely different. They play in different industries. They have different challenges to be scaled up efficiently, safely, cheaply, but under the hood, they're all running on DNA. DNA is the programming language, and each sustainable bioproduct is an application. Synthetic biology is our set of tools for reading and writing DNA. It's the underlying technology that allows us to discover the right set of genetic instructions for a particular use, transfer them to a living cell, and put them to work. How about engineering soil to better sequester carbon? How about sustainable aviation fuels produced through fermentation? How about reducing crop respiration to collect more carbon from photosynthesis? How about faster growing trees? How about enhanced rock weathering accelerated by enzymes? There's an entire industry here, a whole new bioeconomy of bioproducts. A recent report from McKinsey Global estimated that 60% of the physical inputs to the global economy could eventually have biological sources, a mostly biological economic world. It's a vision of practical self-preservation in the face of the climate crisis. But it's also a hope for a green and thriving future. What is more beautiful than biology? What can spark more joy? There's a natural alignment between what biology can make and what people want, with all the new economic opportunities that implies. Everywhere I go, I meet entrepreneurs with incredible motivation to take on the hardest problems in carbon and climate. Not all these ideas are going to work, but advances in DNA technology are making it faster and cheaper to try. DNA sequencing, DNA synthesis, gene editors like CRISPR, laboratory automation, generative AI. At this moment in history, when the world needs more biology, the DNA tools have come together to make it possible. Policymakers, by supporting synthetic biology as an enabling technology, can advance 1,000 different sustainable business models and products all at once. If you'd like to learn more and help us grow a green bioeconomy, check out the links below this video.